Wow, wow, wow. Let's take a look at where we are right on the edge of Lake Beresford and DeLand, on the west side of the city, right here in the Sandra Stetson Aquatic Center. Wow, what a spot. What a great time to be. The Hatters are rolling, and we're in a week 8 here on Inside the Huddle. I'm your host, Jesse Simmons, with head coach Mike Jasper. If there's so many things we could talk about, so many things we can get into, but right here, we'll give you a quick little background on exactly where we are right now. This is the home of the men's and women's rowing team. Has opened since 2019 and a nearly $7 million investment in the rowing program across Florida and academic studies. On the first floor, we houses dozens of 58-foot-long boats for the rowing teams. On the second floor, it funds and houses Stetson's Institute for Water and Environmental Resilience and supports academic uses, including classrooms, a conference room, and the Institute of Field Station. This is one of the better accesses for the sport of rowing across Florida at the collegiate level, the Olympic level, and the high school level. And Coach Mike, what another just place to highlight. How cool is this?
Yeah, man, this is an amazing facility. My first time ever being in something like this. What a blessing. It's amazing.
It's not Tennessee. It's Florida. We got palm trees and some cool 70-ish weather right now. We'll take it. And speaking of cool, you guys were cool, calm, and collected in another win at home against Morehead State. Just some first opening thoughts on that and the way you guys closed out that victory.
I couldn't be more proud of the guys, the way they came out and answered the call there. Obviously, at the end, we kind of let them creep back into it. So, but like I said, we're where our feet are. We're taking it one day at a time, and we've progressed. And I'm very proud of the progress that we're showing as a football program.
Yeah, also, you talk about the start to that game, though. That is a good highlight. Justin Rodriguez with that opening drive interception, passes it off to Chris Stevenson, and 2 plays later, you're able to set the tone. That's been a big thing for you guys. You talked about discipline, setting the tone, starting it off right, and then continuing that. I don't think you could have been put in a better situation there. What are your thoughts on that opening drive?
Yeah, I mean, guys living by our ethos, right? We play with relentless effort, tempo, and swagger. We start strong, finish stronger. We got the start strong part. Now we need to learn how to finish stronger. So very proud of those guys. J-Rod came through, read his keys, did like he did all week in practice, saw the route, broke on it, made a heck of a play. They had the leading receiver in the conference over there, and we kept them bottled up pretty much all day. So very, very proud of our secondary.
Absolutely. On offense, too, we'll go back. It's hard not to talk about Chris Stevenson, the way that he's got 3 touchdowns in 2 games, another game over 100 yards rushing. What is something that you, as a head coach, you see things different than everybody else? What is something that you may have noticed about him that the average fan may not have realized about him and his talents, and also what he brings character-wise?
Yeah, Chris is a phenomenal leader. Since the day I stepped foot on campus, he's been phenomenal. He's had a lot of adversity that he's battled through, surgeries. When we got here, like I said, we weren't able to see him in the spring, and obviously had a late start to camp. He didn't get cleared till the end of camp, but he never complained, never was a bad teammate, was always supportive of everybody. So one thing you don't see out of Chris is his phenomenal arm talent. Everybody keeps talking about how well he's running the ball. The guy throws one of the prettiest balls I've seen since I've got into coaching. So obviously want to be able to get to where we're at a point where we can exploit that a little bit and show his talent there. But right now we haven't had to. And as a football coach, that's a great thing.
Well, it's also hard not to talk about his legs because he's got over 200 yards rushing at the quarterback spot. And so when you're able to do that and have one of the longest rushing touchdowns as a Stetson quarterback in recent memory, you have to highlight it too. So he has been fantastic. But let's talk about the defense as well, the way that they were to hold up. Shug Bentley has continued to shine. Made a couple big plays once again. The secondary is able to step up. They struggled in the first couple of weeks, but it seems like they're now getting a little bit more of a rhythm, and they're communicating better across the field. How does that kind of suit up as you kind of push towards the harder end of your schedule?
Yeah, I'm really excited about where we're going. We needed to get some momentum and some confidence moving forward. I think one of the big takeaways from it, looking at it from a coach's view and overall perspective, was our ability to cut down on missed tackles. I don't think we were necessarily playing bad football. One thing, we didn't have a lot of confidence going into some games. Like, we're learning and progressing as a program daily. But one thing that was hurting us was obviously missed opportunities, missed assignments, and then missed tackles. We were able to cut that in half this week, and obviously it ended up being a victorious effort.
Absolutely. One other thing I want to talk about is more of a coaching aspect to kind of highlight you, the clock management. Things got a little chippy in the second half. You went up 14-0, and Moorhead kind of slowly started to get back in that game. But you shut that down quickly in the fourth quarter. You guys took the ball with 6 minutes left in the game. We're able to close it out. What was the coaching approach behind that? And how do you? Is that something you practice with your staff at the end of the games? Of, hey, we need to make sure we are on our keys and are crossing our I's and dotting our T's, all of the above, to be able to close out games like that.
Yeah, well, we knew in the first quarter, I think our defense went out twice. So we knew we had the ability to sustain long drives.
Right.
So going into that period, I just wanted to calm everything down. Our guys, which they responded extremely well, hats off to them. But we wanted to calm everything down and go into our 4-minute mindset there. And knew that, obviously really good football teams, if you want to win tough football games, you got to finish the game with the ball. Right? The ball is important. So we wanted to try to keep it and close it out, and that's what we did.
Now, talking about tough football games, you get to face the last undefeated team in the Pioneer Football League and number 19 ranked overall in the country, Presbyterian. Not only is it facing the undefeated team, but you're on the road in Clinton, South Carolina. What have you seen from them so far in the tape that poses a threat and has, shown them so much success, but maybe some doors that you can capitalize on?
Yeah, I think they're a really well-coached football team. I got my ton of respect for their head coach, ton of respect for their program, and really looking at them, that was a program when I took this opportunity here at Stetson that I kind of wanted to be parallel with. I wanted to obviously get there faster than 4 years, but if you watch what Presbyterian's been able to do over the course of 4 years, it's nothing short of spectacular, and hats off to their coaching staff. They're an older bunch. We're a younger bunch, right?
One of the youngest in the country.
Yeah, we are the youngest Division I football team in the country. And in a world with the transfer portal and NIL and all that jazz, and constantly flipping rosters year to year, Presbyterians did a phenomenal job growing those guys up. So you're going to have a bunch of grad guys out there, and you have some guys that they got a lot of experience. But one of the things I really appreciate about their team is the way they play. They're not always sound in everything they do, but what college kid is, but they play with a lot of effort, a lot of heart, and they play physical. So their style of play is exactly what I love. So I'm very excited for this test. I'm excited for our guys to go out there and not just meet, their energy, but try to exceed it.
Yeah, when you look at the stats here on Inside the Huddle with head coach Mike Jasper, just looking at the rankings in terms of the league, and things can be skewed depending on who's played who so far in the schedule. I mean, they are undefeated. You have to kind of dig into a team and see, where do I find the weakness? Where do I find the points that we can take advantage of? And one of the points that I saw is overall total offense and the offensive passing game for you guys. I know Stevenson has been able in the past couple of games to step up with his legs, but you said he's he can throw us a good spiral and spread the field out. Stetson ranks number 1 in the conference in passing offense, while Presbyterian is 8 of 11 in passing defense. So there's one thing that I think is a huge lopsided effort there that you guys take advantage of. Is there anything else? That's from my perspective. You're the head coach. But what else have you seen that you guys can maybe take advantage of, the keys to success?
We're going to have to win up front. They do a lot of different things defensively as far as stunts and blitzes and trying to bring pressure and chaos, which is another aspect of their team that I really enjoy. It's been fun preparing for them. So we've got to do a really good job of protecting Chris so we can execute on our explosives. We got to do the little things right and keep him upright so that we can capitalize on that. But also when people do bring a lot of pressures and blitz and stunts, it leaves them open to the run game as well. So we've got to be able to diagnose those run blitz and stunts, get it picked up, and be able to dominate the run game as well. And then when they start to load the box, we know that we have the ability to run past some guys and have some big opportunities in the pass game. So obviously when we get into that red zone, you hopefully see more shots taken by us and, when those opportunities come. But at the end of the day, we just got to execute, win up front. Defensively, we got to stop the run. Their quarterback is a very talented young man. He's hungry. He's gritty. But I think if you keep him bottled up and keep him in the pocket, that's not really where he wants to live. He wants to roll out, get on the edges, and try to strike. And then Mike Switzer, I've watched that kid since he was in high school. He's from the Nashville area, from Spring Hill, played at Memphis. And he's a young man that's just gotten a great opportunity for Presbyterian, and he's making the best of it. He's done so for the past 3 years, and he's already off to a phenomenal start. Probably one of the best all-purpose players in the country, not just the PFL. So we keep those guys bottled up, win up front. I think we'll give ourselves a great chance.
Well, you look at it in terms of just age, in terms of one of the older teams, one of the younger teams. you're in your first year. They are established with their head coach. Some are calling it a David and Goliath type of matchup. But at the end of the day, we have to be honest. Do you think you can beat Presbyterian on the road, and why, if so?
Absolutely, I think I can beat anybody we line up against. That's my mentality. If you ever hear me say I don't think we compete, then I need to retire. But I think one of the coolest things as a man of faith is that a lot of people talk about David and Goliath, but they don't understand that David was called to do what he did. David wasn't the underdog, right? So that's how we got to go into this game. We may be an underdog to everybody else, but we got to have that mentality of David that we're called to do this, and we got to, take off all the armor and the expectations that everybody had on David, and get down and do what we know how to do. So I love that. I love that analogy, but I also love the truth of the story of David and Goliath. David was prepared, right? David was used to facing giants. He was used to slaying beasts while overlooking his flock. So I feel like we've seen some beasts, right? We may not have slain them yet, but what better time to start than now?
Well, the beauty of the story is believers know how it finished. Right?
Yep,
David and Goliath, that's a title, but that's not how the book ends. That's the best part of it.
Yes, sir.
Well, with that, inside the huddle with head coach Mike Jasper here at the Sandra Stetson Aquatic Center, there's a little bit more to this facility that you guys have not seen yet. And we're going to take a dock talk. We're going to walk across the dock here, and we're going to talk. We'll go see some boats. We're going to ask the coach and some pop quiz questions about the rowing program here at Stetson. Let's take a look inside. We are down here in the garage where all the boats are housed on Lake Beresford, where they practice and get all the work in, and a day's work is done. We are here with Mr. AC. AC, what is your title here with the team?
Assistant coach with the men and the women.
Okay, and AC, tell me a little bit about just all the boats here. We got singles here, and we also have the bigger boats here, but tell us a little bit about what it looks like, especially with one of these boats.
Sure. These are singles. So this is what's called sculling. So that's 2 oars. So one person has 2 oars. So these are mostly Stetson-owned boats. Some of these are private donors and alumni.
Okay.
Over here we have doubles and pairs. So a double is going to be the sculling with 2 oars person, and the sweep pair, which is each person has 1 oar. So once you graduate to the 2-man shells, each one man can have 1 oar, one on each side of the boat.
So when people get here on campus, when you get players that are recruited here, is it like a merit-based system where you start by yourself and you work up with the team to be able to earn your spot, or how does that look?
Not really. So most of the people that we recruit rowed in high school, usually in these 8-man shells. So sometimes they have small boat skills. That's a little less common than the big sweep boats. So usually when you start out here, we go straight to the 8-man shells, and then if we have a big enough team, or depending on the boat that we're racing at a regatta, we might race these small boats.
Okay, let's talk about sizing wise too. I'm a short guy, Mike's a tall guy. The types of boats, how long is the single man compared to an 8-man team boat?
So those there are probably around 16, 18 feet long. These 8-man shells are going to be about 60 feet. So when we're traveling to a regatta, we're basically as long as a semi. So,
wow.
That is insane. As we kind of walk through and just take a look, what an awesome facility for you guys. I'm sure you realize how special it is to serve not just your program, but a lot of high schools in the area, especially when they're in season and practicing. Have you seen anything like this in terms of facilities that house a program like this across the country?
We're really lucky. Some of the schools in the Northeast have really old boathouses. A lot of them were built in the 1800s. Not always in the best of shape. Pretty lucky that we have one of the newest boathouses in the country. It's also built to withstand hurricanes, so it's made of concrete and basically bulletproof glass. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
But it's nice that we have an air-conditioned upper floor with the ergs that overlook our beautiful lake and green grounds. It's beautiful, and that's a lot better. Where up north, you're usually like a erg dungeon for 5 months out of the year. At least when we are upstairs, we can at least see some greenery.
Yeah, we're getting into the cooler months right here, Mike. We're getting into the
Absolutely.
cooler months. However, you guys get to practice year round.
Yeah.
Take us a little bit through that practice schedule, like it looks like for you guys in season training.
So Monday through Friday, we'll have morning practice 7 a.m. out on the lake. Even in January, February, we're still kind of hybrid where we can be on the ergs or we can be out on the water. We don't need sun lamps to
Right.
To keep us from getting depressed in the middle of winter. Get some sunshine. And then usually in the afternoons, Monday through Friday, we'll have a 1 hour erg session or a 1 hour weight session. And Friday afternoon, we do a row in the afternoon on the water, where we try to get rough water training because we're very spoiled where it's glass pretty much every morning.
All year round. It's one of my favorite lakes in DeLand, in the area I live 15 minutes away, and this is where all my friends enjoy it. So
yeah, it's glass, and most other teams, they see our water at its worst, and they're like, "That's perfect." And we're like, "What are you talking about? That's rough, that's our rough water training out there today." But yeah, we're pretty thankful and lucky that it's all ours. We don't share that lake with any other teams, so we can go PK back and forth.
You basically have a practice facility lake for yourself.
Yeah.
This is great.
7K around, and then we connect to the river system, which is, we can go all the way to Jacksonville or all the way to Orlando.
That is just insane, especially to kind of wanted to highlight this program here. It's a long, rich history of rowing at Stetson before this facility was even a thought.
Right.
What makes it so appealing in terms of if we're talking to a prospective student athlete that would come here? What sets Stetson apart from the rest, along with the facility that it offers?
A lot of things. I think one of the big draws is just that ability to row year round, where you're not on the ergs for 5 months. Pretty much end of October to March. Some schools are lucky; they can go and travel, maybe do a winter break training and spring break training. But when they go back to spring break, it's still icicle sometimes on their oars. So even in January, February, the high is 75 around here, so it's nice. The other thing is that the boathouse is it's only 5 miles away from campus, but it's 5 miles into what's kind of a nature preserve, and we've got bald eagles out there and alligators and manatees, and it's just a nice detachment from campus and lets them get away, sort of decompress, and have a place to call their own where they can just go to school behind for 2 hours.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, AC, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for showing us this beautiful facility here in the garage of the Sandra Stetson Aquatic Center. Once again, thank you.